Welcome YouTube to the Cincinatti Splosions. It's a brand new season. It's the 5th season overall in the Krakenation Draft Classic. But for me, it's my 2nd season, and I'm very excited. And I'm going to go over my team that I have drafted. This is a draft analysis video of my team, the Cincinatti Splosions, and I hope that you enjoy. Starting off, for my first pick was Dragapult. Dragapult is a very, very fast mon with, I think it's 142 speed. So it's very good for slotting into speed tiers because not many mons are that fast. It has pivot, very good pivot with U-turn. It's also a dragon type for if I want to have a sort of fairy dragon steel core type thing. It also is a ghost type, so it has fighting and normal immunity. It is amazing offensively. It has really good dragon stab physical, and it has really good special stab, and it has good special coverage, and it has other good physical moves. It can actually be physical or special attacker. It has 100 special attack and 120 physical attack. It has great abilities. All three of them are really good. Some of them more situational than others. Infiltrator, which can go through Substitute and Reflect, and Light Screen and Clear Body if I'm against Intimidators or other bonds which are going to lower my stats, like Webs as well. Cursed Body is also very annoying for opponents if it just randomly comes into play and it's just like, yeah, that move that you were going to use, yeah, now you don't get to use stab moves for the next 3 turns or something, and it can just kind of remove a potential sweep from actually happening. So that's really good. Next up, I drafted Glyscor. Glyscor is a very good support mon. It has Rocks, Defog, U-turn, Toxic, Roost. Also, Toxic Heal is a very, very good ability. 12% healing every single turn is no joke. I believe that's 1/8 of your health. Leftovers heals 1/16 and it makes a difference. Now, double that, it really, really is really good. Especially in combination with Roost, it means that instead of mons having to break the 50% mark to actually deal damage to it, they need to break the, 62% mark, which is a big difference, actually. It's also grounded in electric immunity, which is great. I would say, it has a 4 times ice weakness, which so far my draft is Ice Weak. Yeah, so at this point in the draft, I drafted Rotom Heat. And my draft so far was, I was planning on centering it around Mega Tyranitar. So Dragapult's fighting immunity complements it really well, and Glyscor's typing really matched up with it, and can also sometimes take advantage of sand, because it's immune to the sand. But unfortunately, after I had picked Rotom Heat, Mega Titar got sniped. I didn't prioritize my mons very well, and I should have taken Mega Tyranitar first, because there were other options other than Rotom Heat, even though I was expecting Rotom Heat to be drafted. I picked Rotom Heat because I thought that it would be drafted more likely than Mega Tyranitar, when I should have been thinking that it was much worse for Mega Tyranitar to be drafted, as opposed to if Rotom Heat got sniped, it wouldn't be that big a deal. But, alas, Mega Tyranitar got sniped. So, I had to do some quick trades to get rid of Rotom Heat, because it didn't really fit with my new team, because round 4, and this really strong Mega still had not been drafted. And that Mega is Mega Scizor. Mega Scizor has amazing stats, and it's only weak to fire. It resists a ton of stuff. It basically functions as, if it hits me for a neutral damage, it's kind of super effective almost, unless it's fire type. It's 4 times weak to fire. Other than that, it has no weaknesses. It has great stab priority with Technician boosted Bullet Punch. It can set up and sweep with Sword Stance, and it can also wall stuff with Roost. It can pivot with U-turn. It's just really good, well-rounded, and it can totally destroy teams if they're not prepared. It also can support pretty well due to the U-turn and that it does really big chip with the stab U-turn. It's just a great mon overall. It's also a steel type, so that helps with a Fairy Dragon Steel Core if I want to go for that. So I had traded, expecting that I was going to draft Mega Scizor that round. I had traded Rotom Heat for Arcanine. So Arcanine is a perfect partner for Mega Scizor. It has Flash Fire, which means that it's immune to fire. And then it can also retaliate and generally pick up a KO with 1.5 times stab, Flare Blitz, or even Overheat. It's really good. It can also run Intimidate, which is a really good ability. It can also pivot with Teleport. It has Recovery because it has Morning Sun. It also has good priority with Extreme Speed, and it has really good coverage. It can run a physical or special set. Heavy Duty Boots, now being in the game. Well, it was like that last season, but in Sword and Shield, Arcanine became much better because now it can run Heavy Duty Boots, and it doesn't really need an item. It's not like it really likes to have leftovers. It's just that, like, it's a slight, like, why not? But it's much better to run Heavy Duty Boots, so that means that it's much stronger now. Yeah. So, it's just a very nicely well-rounded mon. It has pretty good defenses. And yeah, moving on to the next mon. Galarian Weezing. Galarian Weezing is a poison type, which I wanted. I wanted a mon with toxic spikes. But it has Levitate, so it's immune to ground. Which is important because if you look at the rest of my team, other than Glyscor, my team doesn't have any ground resistances, and my plan was kind of ground weak because of the poison type that I wanted, but Galarian Weezing fits it perfectly. It also has removal with defog. It has removal because it has defog. Toxic spikes complement Dragapult really well because if I can set up spikes and they don't have a grounded poison type, then Hex Dragapult sweeps typically. Will-O-Wisp can also be really good to cripple mons. And it also has the Poison Fairy typing, which is really good. It's only weak to Steel and Psychic types. Yeah. It's just a very nice mon. Well-rounded. Good stab. Yeah. Next mon. Tarakion. So, Tarakion, it fits pretty well into my speed tiers. It's a great Scarfer or Banded mon. It can also run like Life Orb and be a setter of rocks if I need it. So the main reason why I got this is it's a fast, really strong mon with good stabs, and it's a rock type. So it's a rock type and it resists fire. So that means that I can swap it into incoming fire moves that, if I make a good predict, that are intended for Scizor, and then I can pick up a KO because it's so fast and it can just do so much damage. Yeah. Next mon. Tangela. So, Tangela, I took it, you might think that I took it kind of early, but at this point my draft is really top heavy, and if I want good mons that fit the roles that I need them to fit, I need to have budget mons. So even though other grass types are much better, Tangela is like really high, really important for me because it's only 3 points out of the maximum 15 points that it could be in the draft. So it's really good budget. It runs Eviolite typically, and it has Regenerator as well, which is really good. It makes it very, very hard to kill. It has very good recovery with Leech Seed, and it can also run Synthesis. It can knock off, and removing items can be very good depending on the matchup. And it can also run Sleep Powder or Stun Spore and status the opposing team. Yeah, very good budget mon. Definitely worth my whatever round this is. Round 9, I think? Yeah, my round 9 pick. Nope, not my round 9 pick. This is my round 8 pick. Next mon, Zoroark. So at this point I drafted Zoroark because I need a dark type. Zoroark is a decent ground type, but dark type, not a ground type. But its illusion ability really complements Galarian Weezing. Their typing works really well. Zoroark is weak to fighting. Galarian Weezing resists fighting. Galarian Weezing is weak to Psychic. Well, Zoroark is immune to Psychic. So it really, if the opponent makes the wrong predict, it can really mess them up. It also can match up well with Scizor with its illusion, or Glyscor, or Arcanine. Basically anything that doesn't want to be taking hits, but Zoroark can take the hit. For example, Fire move against Scizor, and Zoroark takes it and then kills the Mon, leaving Scizor open to be really strong. So it can also pivot with U-turn, and it can set up and sweep with either a Nasty Plot or a Swords Dance set. It also has Sucker Punch, so it can stop opposing sweeps sometimes. Next Mon. So the next one is Boltund. Boltund actually went down in points from last season, which I think was a very big mistake because it's so good. It's really good. So it went from 5 points to 4 points. And 1 point doesn't usually make a difference, but it can be very important. It's a very fast Mon. It has 121 speed, I believe. It fits very well into my speed tiers. It has really good coverage, and the coverage moves that it has are typically mostly high power because it has the strong draw ability. It can also pivot with Volt Switch. It can status the opposing team with a Nuzzle, and it has great stab with strong draw boosted Thunder Fang. The one weakness is that it doesn't get Ice Fang, which makes sense. Game Freak has really not been liking to it feels like they've been really trying to not give electric types ice coverage. Which makes sense. Electric types are pretty strong. Moving on to the next Mon, we have Blastoise. Blastoise, I'm not sure how well it fits into my team at this point, but I think that it probably will be pretty good. It's a reasonably bulky water type, and it has good pivot with Flip Turn. It can run a physical or special set, and it also has pretty good coverage overall. It can also set up and sweep with Shell Smash, which I think is the main strong suit of Blastoise, even though it's still very good as a pivot Mon. Bulky pivot that can also status and do all the stuff that you need a bulky pivot to do. I think that its one weakness is that it really doesn't have any recovery other than like leftovers or something. But if it can pivot enough to really put you in a good position, my team is is pretty offensive, so that works pretty well. My last Mon is Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime may seem like, Mr. Mime, it's a weird Mon, but it's only 1 point, and it's really good value for 1 point. It has really good typing with Psychic Fairy, and it has really good coverage and good stab with for its Psychic Fairy type. It's not super fast, but it can hit hard, and it's fast enough that it can outspeed stuff. It doesn't need to run Scarf, but it can run Scarf, and it can also run Specs. And it can run Trick, and it can run Healing Wish. It's just a very good Mon. It's very versatile, and it also has Filter, which is a really good ability. One of the only Mons that gets Filter other than Mega Aggron, I guess. It's just really good value for 1 point. So with that is my full team, and I will see you all for week 1. It's coming soon.